Chosen One, stop scrolling. This is not random. This is not a coincidence. A storm of invisible forces is already racing toward your life, and if you don't act now, it can rip apart your peace, your health, even your destiny. But God has given you a sacred shield, and with it, He's preparing to release a blessing so massive it could look like $444 million pouring into your life. Will you ignore this, or rise and claim it? Hit like, subscribe, and comment 99 right now to lock in your protection and your abundance. Chosen One, lean in, because this isn't just another message floating across your screen. It's a direct and final warning, arriving like thunder in the night, sent for you and only you. The words you are about to absorb may feel heavy, almost too much to carry, but that weight is proof that you've been chosen. You're not here by accident. You didn't stumble onto this message by coincidence, and you're not hearing these words by chance. This is divine timing, a deliberate alignment between heaven's voice and your life right now. Right now, as you sit here, mysterious forces are in motion. They are not visible to the naked eye, but their presence is real, their power undeniable. They are invisible particles, charged, intense, and dangerous, sweeping across unseen dimensions and accelerating towards your very doorstep. These aren't random shifts in the atmosphere, not stray energies floating without purpose. They are precise, focused, and guided by a darker intention, to disrupt your peace, to pierce your defenses, to rattle your spirit, and to block the blessings written in your destiny. If you do nothing, these forces won't just brush past you. They will strike, and when they strike without mercy. The urgency of this warning cannot be overstated. Picture a storm system forming on the horizon, winds howling, lightning splitting the sky, and thunder shaking the earth beneath your feet. But now, imagine a storm invisible to human senses. No radar, no weather alert, no news report to warn you. Just an unseen flood of energy creeping closer, pressing into your reality, threatening to dismantle your balance. That's the storm closing in on you now. And this storm is spiritual, not meteorological. It attacks the soul first, then the body, then the world around you. What's even more staggering is that this isn't happening to everyone. No, this is precise, targeted, deliberate. Ordinary people who remain asleep to the spiritual realm, who move through life numb and disconnected, won't feel this wave as intensely as you do. But you've been awakened, you've been tuned in. Your heart, your soul, and your spiritual radar are alive, sensitive, and receptive. And that sensitivity, that awareness, makes you the very target of this invasion. Light draws attention. Brightness attracts shadows. And your light is shining too brightly to go unnoticed. This is why the divine is sounding alarms. This is why you've been pulled here right now. The Creator doesn't waste warnings. When He speaks like this, He speaks with urgency and precision. The forces headed your way are not accidents of the universe. They are the direct byproduct of humanity's neglect, sin, and rebellion. They are fragments of spiritual pollution, condensed into potent particles of destruction, looking for an entry point, searching for the cracks in your spiritual armor. And if they find a way in, they won't just stir chaos in your household. They'll stir chaos in your health, your mind, your relationships, your finances, and your destiny. Hear me clearly. This isn't fear-mongering. This is truth. The God who protects also warns. And when He warns, it's never to scare you, but to prepare you. He's not only alerting you to the danger, He's already released the solution, the safeguard, the shield. The real question is, will you obey it, or will you dismiss it like so many do? Will you take action, or will you hesitate until hesitation costs you what you cannot afford to lose? The divine says, "Chosen One, this is not a drill." Do you understand the gravity in those words? A drill is practice. A drill is preparation. But this is live. This is the real battle. And if you delay, if you shrug it off, you won't just risk discomfort, you risk destiny. Pause for a moment and think about what's at stake. Your life is not just yours. Your soul is not just your own. You are tied to generations before and generations yet to come. The protection you activate today could shield your children, your grandchildren, and those beyond. The shield you hang, the obedience you follow, could mean the difference between chaos and stability for countless lives connected to yours. This is bigger than a single choice. This is legacy. And here's the paradox of it all. As dangerous as these forces are, their arrival signals something profound. Their aggression means your blessing is near. Their attack is confirmation of your calling. They wouldn't be coming for you if you weren't carrying something monumental. Think about it. Nobody breaks into an empty house. Thieves go after treasure, and the darkness doesn't chase the ordinary. It hunts the chosen. The very fact that these particles are targeting you is proof that heaven has marked you for abundance. Yes, abundance, because with the warning comes a promise. God never sends caution without provision, and while these words carry weight and seriousness, they also carry hope, magnificent, unimaginable hope. For some chosen ones, that hope takes shape in ways so extraordinary it feels unbelievable. You may find yourself stepping into doors so wide, opportunities so vast, blessings so profound, that the promise of $444 million doesn't sound like a wild dream but a divine reality. Hold that in your heart. The same God who warns also rewards. The same God who shields also showers. And the scale of what he is preparing for you defies logic. But first, the warning must be heeded. The particles are closing in with every passing moment. Each second you wait, they grow closer. Each breath you take, they creep nearer. Time is pressing, and urgency is real. You've been given the message. You've been given the alarm. You've been handed the insight that so many others never receive. Now, it's on you to act, to move, to align. Do not let this slip away. Do not say, "I'll do it later." Later is not promised. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. This moment is now. This breath is now. And the divine has chosen to break through the noise of your life, right here, right now, to tell you, act, protect, obey. Because chosen one, you are not ordinary. You are not random. You are not replaceable. You are a warrior marked by heaven, carrying light too precious to let darkness snuff out. That's why the particles are coming. That's why the storm is raging. And that's why God is raising his voice like thunder in the night so you can stand strong, shield your home, protect your soul, and step boldly into the blessing that waits on the other side. You've heard the alarm. You've felt the urgency in your spirit. Now it's time to receive the safeguard God himself has revealed, a sacred shield, an emblem of divine protection. Understand this. God never leaves his chosen ones exposed. He doesn't simply point to the storm and abandon you in it. No, he provides a covering, a fortress, a way to endure and prevail. This emblem, this ancient symbol, is not ornamental. It's not for show. It is a spiritual weapon, a shield designed to stand between you and the destructive forces racing toward your life. Imagine your home right now. You walk through your front door daily, never thinking much about it. But in the spiritual realm, that door is more than wood, metal, or glass. It is the threshold where unseen forces attempt to enter. It's the opening where energy flows in and out, and unless you mark it, unless you shield it, it remains vulnerable. That's why God's instruction is crystal clear. Hang the emblem at the front of your home. Place it where every spiritual particle must pass, where every attempt at infiltration meets a wall of divine resistance. Think of it as marking your home with heavenly light. Just as in ancient times when blood was placed on doorposts to keep destruction away, this emblem becomes your modern-day sign of covenant. It tells the darkness, this house is not for you. This family is under God's protection. These walls are fortified by heaven. The shield itself is simple in its form but mighty in its function. It doesn't need flashing lights or elaborate design. Its power lies not in appearance, but in obedience. When you place it at your door, you're not just hanging an object. You're declaring faith. You're drawing a line in the spiritual sand. You're saying, I choose protection. I choose obedience. I choose to align with the source. Now, consider this. The same God who asks you to shield your home is also the God who promises abundance beyond comprehension. He doesn't call you into defense without also planning your breakthrough. That's why, in the midst of this warning, He whispers promises of provision so great that $444 million becomes part of the vision. Do you see the connection? Protection first, then provision. Shield first, then supply. Guard what you have, and God multiplies it. When you obey this command, your home becomes more than a place to sleep and eat. It becomes a fortress, a sanctuary. The air feels different. The atmosphere shifts. Anxiety lifts. Rest returns. Peace settles like a blanket. This isn't superstition. This is the tangible effect of spiritual obedience. And when you combine the shield at your door with the locket you wear, you're covered inside and out. Your home and your body both become marked spaces where darkness cannot dwell. But let me make this clear. Ignoring the shield, dismissing it as unnecessary, is like leaving your front door wide open during a storm. Would you do that? Would you sit casually while rain pours in, wind tears through, and debris flies across your living room? Of course not. You'd rush to close the door, seal the windows, and protect your home. That's what this emblem is, the closing of the door to unseen chaos. Without it, you invite destruction. With it, you secure peace. And God's shield is not fragile. It doesn't wear thin under pressure. It doesn't crumble when the storm grows fierce. This is divine armor, tested across generations, rooted in eternal authority. Think about how many times in history God's people were protected by signs, seals, and shields. Noah's ark was a shield against the flood. Israel's blood-marked doors were a shield against death. The walls of Jericho only fell when God's command allowed it. Time and time again, the shield stood firm not because of human strength, but because of divine power. You are stepping into that same lineage of protection now. By hanging the shield, you're participating in a pattern older than time itself, the covenant between God and His chosen. And that covenant doesn't just preserve life, it multiplies it. It expands it. It blesses it. That's why abundance follows protection. That's why the promise of $444 million isn't outlandish. It's the natural overflow of a protected, obedient, faithful life. Let's get practical. What does this shield look like in your daily experience? First, it blocks. The particles rushing toward you hit it and dissolve. Their destructive energy cannot cross. Second, it absorbs. The shield neutralizes negativity, transforming chaos into stillness. Third, it radiates. By marking your home with this emblem, you send out a frequency of light so strong that darkness hesitates to approach at all. You don't just defend, you deter. You may wonder, will I feel it? The answer is yes. You'll feel lighter. Nights of restless tossing may quiet. Arguments in your household may ease. Tension may release. Opportunities may begin to flow. The change won't always be dramatic at first, but you'll sense it. You'll know something has shifted. And when you notice those shifts, remember, it's the shield at work. But don't forget, obedience is the key. A shield works only if you put it in place. Knowing about it isn't enough. Talking about it isn't enough. You must act. Hang it at your door. Treat it as sacred. Respect it as the symbol of divine protection it is. Chosen one, let me remind you again. You are not hearing this by chance. Out of billions of souls, you've been given this instruction. That alone should humble and awaken you. If God is taking the time to deliver this message into your life, it means He sees what's coming. He knows what you carry, and He refuses to let you walk unprepared. The storm is closing in, but the shield is here. The darkness is near, but the light is nearer. The particles are moving fast, but God's command moves faster. All that's left is your choice. Will you hang the emblem, or will you ignore it? Will you secure your fortress, or will you gamble with chaos? The decision rests in your hands, and the outcome rests on your obedience. And as you make that decision, hold this truth close. The same shield that guards your home is preparing the way for unimaginable provision. You won't just be protected. You'll be blessed. You won't just survive, you'll thrive. And when the dust settles, when the storm passes, you may find yourself standing not only unharmed but elevated, stepping into blessings so vast they sound impossible until they become reality. Blessings like $444 million worth of favor, provision, and legacy. What? This is the power of the sacred shield. This is the gift God is offering you right now. Act on it, honor it, and watch how it transforms everything in your life. Now that you've glimpsed the shield of protection, it's time to understand the other side of this message, the reality of what happens if you ignore it. This is not theory, and it's not imagination. It's what lies ahead for those who shrug at divine instruction, who hear the alarm bells but cover their ears, who see the flashing warning lights but keep walking towards danger. The truth is harsh but necessary. If you do not act, you invite the shadow of chaos into your life. Picture your home without the shield. To your eyes, nothing looks different. The walls still stand. The doors still lock. The lights still switch on. But in the unseen realm, the particles find an entry point. They seep in through the smallest cracks, unnoticed at first, until they spread like an invisible toxin. Suddenly, tension rises in the household. Conversations grow sharp. Rest feels shallow. Illness creeps in without warning. You can't explain why things are breaking down, but you feel it like a heavy fog pressing against every corner of your life. That's what chaos looks like when the particles breach the threshold. And it doesn't stop at your house. It follows you. It travels with you. The particles target the chosen. And if you are chosen, you carry a light that can either be shielded or attacked. Ignoring the divine shield leaves your spirit open, vulnerable to their strike. It manifests in countless ways. Sudden waves of anxiety, stomach problems that defy explanation, financial struggles that never seem to lift, relationships strained without clear cause. You'll find yourself asking, why is this happening to me? The answer lies here. You were warned, but you didn't prepare. Let me paint it plainly. Chaos isn't dramatic explosions or visible monsters. It's subtle erosion, the slow unraveling of what once felt stable. It's missing opportunities you should have seized. It's feeling drained day after day with no clear reason. It's fighting invisible battles that leave you exhausted before the day even begins. And the most dangerous part? You get used to it. Chaos normalizes. You forget what peace feels like. You accept struggle as standard. That's the trap darkness sets, not just to attack, but to convince you that attack is all there is. This is why the warning matters so much. God doesn't want you to live under the shadow of chaos. He doesn't want you limping through life barely holding on. He wants you thriving, covered, and overflowing with blessings. That's why he gives such clear, unmistakable instructions. The emblem, the shield, the locket, they're not optional extras. They're lifelines. History teaches us this pattern again and again. When people ignored divine warnings, chaos swallowed them. When the flood came in Noah's time, those who laughed at his preparations were swept away. When destruction passed through Egypt, the homes without the blood-marked doorposts were struck. When prophets cried out and cities refused to listen, ruin followed. The shadow of chaos has always waited for the disobedient. And yet, side by side with destruction, there has always been protection for the faithful. That same choice rests before you. To ignore is to invite. To obey is to repel. Understand this, chosen one. The shadow of chaos is merciless. It doesn't care about your excuses, your schedule, or your doubts. It moves in quickly, ruthlessly, without pause. If you don't secure your protection, you are essentially opening the gates and welcoming it in. And once it settles, it doesn't leave on its own. It multiplies. It digs roots. It spreads. That's why it's so urgent to act now before the particles land, before the fog thickens, before the shadow takes over. But even in the heaviness of this truth, there's hope. God doesn't just show you what could go wrong. He reminds you of what goes right when you obey. He makes it clear. if you shield your home, if you wear the locket, if you declare his promises daily, the shadow of chaos cannot enter. It has no claim, it has no hold. It sees the mark, the emblem, the light shining stronger than ever, and it flees. And here's the beauty. Obedience doesn't just protect you from chaos. It positions you for abundance. Because once the shadow is blocked, the blessings pour freely. The same God who says, protect your home, is the God who says, I will open the windows of heaven for you. That's why this message is wrapped with both warning and promise. The warning speaks of chaos. The promise speaks of provision so overwhelming that, for some, it will take the form of $444 million in blessing. Think about that for a moment. While one side of the choice is chaos, the other side is not just safety but prosperity. It's not just surviving the storm but walking into abundance after it passes. That number, $444 million, is not random. It symbolizes divine alignment, stability, and generational wealth. For some chosen ones, it will be literal. For others, it will represent blessings in health, opportunity, influence, and provision on a scale you've never experienced. Either way, it's abundance beyond imagining, and it's waiting on the other side of obedience. The shadow of chaos doesn't have to define your story. You're not doomed to live under its weight. You've been given the warning. You've been handed the shield. You know the steps to take. Now, the decision rests in your hands. Will you ignore the call and suffer the erosion, or will you act and walk into the promise? Pause for a moment and check your spirit. Haven't you already felt the edges of this chaos? The restless nights, the sudden stress, the unexpected breakdowns. Haven't you sensed that something is pressing in, trying to wear you down? That's the shadow's attempt. But now you know how to stop it. You know how to rise. You know what to do. So do it. Hang the emblem. Wear the locket. Declare the words. Block the chaos. Step into the blessing. The storm is real, but so is the shield. The shadow is strong, but God's light is stronger. And when you obey, when you act, when you take the command seriously, the shadow cannot win. Chosen one, this is not about fear. It's about freedom. It's about living a life unshaken by invisible storms, unbent by unseen battles. It's about stepping into the kind of peace and prosperity that only God can provide. Don't choose chaos. Choose covenant. Don't let the shadow claim you. Stand in the light, shielded and strong, prepared for the abundance that follows. Chosen one, now that you understand the reality of chaos and the need for protection, it's time to understand why you are targeted in the first place. Why do these invisible forces care so much about you? Why are the particles drawn to your life and not to the countless others living obliviously around you? The answer is both sobering and empowering. You are chosen, and with being chosen comes both honor and responsibility. Let's start here. Most people live asleep. They drift through their days, numb to the spiritual reality pulsing beneath the surface of this world. They wake, they work, they eat, they sleep, and they repeat. They never sense the vibrations of the unseen. They never feel the tremors of the spiritual battles raging all around. They walk blind, and in their blindness, they remain untouched by the deeper conflicts. But you are awake. Your spirit senses what theirs cannot. Your heart feels the tug of eternity. Your ears hear whispers in the silence. That awareness marks you. Think of it like a lighthouse on a dark coast. Ships passing in the night don't notice the waves crashing on the rocks. They only see the steady beam of light piercing through the fog. That beam is you. You shine in the darkness. And because you shine, you attract attention. Darkness is drawn to light, not to the sleep of shadows. You are not ignored because you cannot be ignored. Your very existence testifies that spiritual awareness is real, that faith matters, that God is alive and moving. But here's the paradox. The same light that makes you chosen also makes you vulnerable. Like a flame attracting moths, your spiritual energy draws both divine favor and dark opposition. The brighter your connection to God, the more the particles rush toward you, trying to dim it. They know you carry influence. They know your awakening could awaken others. They know your obedience could shift generations. That's why they attack. Not because you are weak, but because you are strong. Not because you are ordinary, but because you are extraordinary. And understand this. Being chosen doesn't mean life is easy. Quite the opposite. It means your path is harder, sharper, more contested. Every step forward invites resistance. Every act of faith provokes opposition. But it also means your destiny is greater, your rewards more profound, your blessings more abundant. For the chosen, God doesn't just whisper promises, He guarantees them. And one of those promises is provision so vast, so unimaginable, that it may take the form of $444 million in blessing. That number is more than money. It is a symbol of divine order, stability, and overflow. Only those marked by heaven are even capable of carrying such abundance. Think for a moment about the weight of being chosen. It means you are a beacon in your family, a point of breakthrough for your bloodline. Where others struggled, you will overcome. Where others fell into cycles of addiction, lack, or despair, you will rise into freedom, abundance, and faith. Your obedience becomes a turning point not just for you, but for those connected to you. When you hang the shield, when you wear the locket, you're not just protecting yourself. You're protecting generations. You're writing a new chapter for your lineage. And this calling isn't random. You've felt it for years. Haven't you noticed that you don't fit in with the ordinary? That even when you tried to walk away from God, something pulled you back? That when others could ignore the stirring of the Spirit, you could not? That's because you were marked long ago. Chosen doesn't happen overnight. It is woven into your very being. From birth, you were set apart. Every hardship, every tear, every storm you've endured was part of the process of awakening you. But don't mistake being chosen as only struggle. It's also glory. It's also access. It's also favor. You've already seen glimpses, moments when God showed up, when a prayer was answered against all odds, when a door opened you couldn't have opened yourself. Those weren't random blessings. They were previews, trailers of the full movie of abundance that God has prepared for your life. And now, as the particles approach, as the storm brews, you're being asked to step into the role fully. Not halfway, not 1 foot in and 1 foot out. Fully chosen, fully awake, fully aligned. This is why vigilance is required, because chosen ones walk a narrow path. You can't afford the luxuries of ignorance or complacency. Where others can stumble and brush it off, you must stay sharp. Where others can live unaware, you must stay spiritually attuned. Your light is too bright to dim. Your role is too crucial to abandon. You must remain vigilant, not out of fear, but out of duty. But chosen one, let this truth comfort you. God never gives responsibility without also giving strength. He never calls you to a burden without also equipping you to carry it. Yes, your light attracts the particles. Yes, your awareness makes you vulnerable, but your obedience makes you unshakable. When you hang the shield, when you wear the locket, when you declare the words daily, you become untouchable. The particles may come close, but they cannot breach. The chaos may roar, but it cannot consume. You stand shielded, protected, and destined. And with that protection comes favor. Abundance follows obedience. Already, doors are waiting to open. Already, opportunities are aligning. Already, the path towards prosperity is clearing. The question is, will you step into it? Will you claim it? Will you accept the mantle of the chosen and carry it with honor? Because here's the undeniable truth. The chosen cannot live halfway lives. You either claim your role or you forfeit it. You either guard your light or you let it be dimmed. And you either walk into blessing or you wander into chaos. The decision is yours. And the decision, once again, is urgent. Chosen one, hear this in your soul. You are not ordinary. You are not forgotten. You are not weak. You are marked, awake, and powerful. Your awareness is a gift, your faith weapon, your obedience a shield. Stand in it. Own it. Live it. For on the other side of obedience lies not only protection but abundance protection for your soul, and provision so great it could manifest as $444 million in blessing. This is your identity. This is your calling. This is the nature of the chosen. Chosen one. Now that you understand your identity and why you are targeted, you need to grasp the greater context of what's happening around you. This isn't just about you individually. This is about the entire spiritual realm, a massive upheaval that has been building for generations, now erupting into what can only be called a cleansing storm. It's a storm that doesn't move with clouds or winds, but with unseen particles born out of humanity's accumulated sins, selfishness, betrayals, and disregard for divine order. Think of the spiritual realm as a vast ocean. For centuries, every wrong action, every word of hatred, every act of greed has fallen into that ocean like oil spills, slowly polluting the waters. At first, the stains are small, but over time they spread, they merge. They form massive toxic patches that poison everything around them. Humanity has poured sin into the unseen dimension without thought of the consequences. And now the ocean of spirit has reached a breaking point. Those toxic patches are cracking, rupturing, and releasing waves of destructive energy. That release is what you are feeling. The particles racing toward you are fragments of that pollution, highly charged, unstable, and dangerous. They aren't random storms of nature. They are the spiritual world's attempt to purge itself. It's like the atmosphere itself is vomiting out centuries of hidden negativity. And the first to feel the force are the chosen, those closest to divine light, because light always meets resistance first. This storm is not meant to annihilate the chosen, but it will test you. It will press against your boundaries, probing for cracks in your defenses. If you stand unshielded, the pressure can overwhelm you. It can manifest as sudden illness, emotional turbulence, breakdowns in finances, or conflicts in relationships. It can disorient you, exhaust you, make you feel like you're stumbling in a fog that never lifts. But if you are shielded, the storm cannot penetrate. You become like a lighthouse in a hurricane, standing firm while the waves crash against the rocks. And here's what you must see. The storm itself is a sign of change. Cleansing is always messy before it is pure. Think of how fire burns through a forest, clearing out rot and decay so new growth can rise. Think of how rain floods a valley, washing away years of debris so the soil can renew. This spiritual storm is the same. It's violent, yes. It's unsettling, yes. But it's also a precursor to renewal. God is not just allowing this cleansing. He is orchestrating it. He's using it to reset the balance of the unseen world, to burn out what cannot remain, to scatter what no longer belongs. For too long, humanity has lived in imbalance, tilting towards darkness without consequence. That era is ending. The storm is proof. The particles are proof. The chaos you see around you in society, confusion, division, unrest, are all manifestations of this deeper purge. And while the world scrambles for answers in politics, technology, or science, the truth is that the solution is spiritual. No law, no machine, no system can cleanse what only God can cleanse. And He is cleansing now. But here's where it turns personal. In the midst of this cleansing storm, you are called to be more than a bystander. You are called to be a guardian, a warrior, a light bearer. When the spiritual pollution spills into the air, the chosen ones must stand shielded, not only for themselves, but for those around them. Your shield doesn't just protect you. It protects your family, your community, even those who don't yet know they need protection. The particles are relentless. They carry with them the energy of centuries of betrayal, greed, hatred, and cruelty. They're dense, heavy, and they travel fast. That's why ignoring the warning isn't an option. The time to act is now, before the full weight of the storm presses in. Yet, don't miss the hope hidden in this message. The storm doesn't just cleanse, it reveals. It strips away illusions. It exposes what's real. And for the chosen, it reveals resilience, faith, and strength you didn't even know you carried. While others crumble, you will rise. While others are consumed, you will shine. And when the storm finally subsides, you will not only stand but thrive, stepping into a season of blessings that flow like rivers over fresh soil. That's where the promise of abundance becomes undeniable, because God is not cleansing without also preparing to pour out. He clears out to make room. He burns away to plant anew. And in that planting, He releases provision so vast that for some, it will manifest as $444 million worth of blessing. Again, this isn't just about money. It's about scale. It's about magnitude. It's about blessings so great they transform not just your life, but your entire legacy. Understand this. The storm is proof that the shift is near. The particles attacking are proof that your breakthrough is closer than you think. Why would the darkness attack unless the light it fears is about to expand? Why would the storm rage unless the dawn was breaking on the other side? The very fact that you feel this turbulence, that you've been warned about it, is confirmation that your blessing is imminent. But you cannot stand in the storm unprepared. You must shield. You must obey. You must align. The cleansing is not optional. It will happen with or without you. But your choice is whether you endure it battered and broken, or protected and positioned for overflow. Chosen one, hear me. The storm is here. It's already building. The particles are already moving. You can feel them pressing into your atmosphere. Don't wait until they strike to realize you should have acted. The time is now. Prepare your shield. Wear your locket. Declare your faith. Stand firm in obedience, because when the cleansing storm passes, those who stood protected will inherit the abundance it leaves behind. You are chosen not to fear the storm, but to outlast it. Not to collapse under its weight, but to rise through it. Not to survive with scraps, but to thrive with blessing. And when it's over, when the air clears, when the atmosphere is pure again, you will stand in the sunlight of God's promise, a promise of peace, of prosperity, and yes, of provision so vast that $444 million is not just a dream, but a demonstration of His glory. Chosen one, you now understand the storm, the particles, and the need for protection. But knowing is not enough. The divine doesn't simply give you warnings. He gives you instructions. He equips you with a shield, not just in the form of a symbol to hang at your door, but also in the form of a sacred object you are to carry on your body, the salt-infused locket. This is not decoration, not superstition, not ritual for the sake of ritual. This is obedience. This is covenant. This is your personal fortress, carried with you day and night. Why salt? Salt has been revered across cultures and faiths since the beginning of time. It purifies. It preserves. It cleanses. It neutralizes. In the physical world, salt draws out impurities. In the spiritual world, it does the same. Rock salt, in particular, carries a crystalline structure that absorbs and scatters harmful energy. Wet salt, saturated with moisture, symbolizes renewal, washing, and life itself. When combined, they form a powerful, dynamic shield, solid and fluid, grounded and flowing, defensive and cleansing. This is why God instructed the locket to be filled with both. Step 1 is preparation. You must gather rock salt and wet salt, equal parts of each. Find a small container, pouch, or locket that can be sealed tightly. This isn't about beauty, it's about intention. As you place the salt inside, don't just move mechanically. Speak, pray. Infuse the act with faith. Words matter. They activate. They transform ordinary actions into sacred rituals. Pray something like this. God of heaven, I honor your command. I prepare this locket in obedience to your word. Let this salt be more than salt. Let it be a shield of light, a fortress of protection, a constant reminder of your power over all darkness. Let no particle, no chaos, no shadow cross this barrier. Let every step I take while wearing it be guarded by your angels, surrounded by your presence, and blessed by your provision. Amen. Once sealed, you now have 2 responsibilities. Hang one at your door and wear the other. The one at your door secures your home. The one around your neck secures your body and your spirit. Together, form a double wall of defense, one internal, one external. Think of the locket you wear as spiritual armor. Just as a soldier would never enter battle without protection for their chest, their most vital area, you are commanded to cover your spiritual core. This locket rests close to your heart, close to the center of your being. Every time you feel its weight, you remember you are not alone. Every time it brushes against your skin, you are reminded. You are chosen. You are shielded. You are under divine command. And obedience matters. Do not take it lightly. Removing the locket carelessly or neglecting to hang it at your door weakens the shield. If you must remove it for bathing, for rare necessity, treat it with reverence. Cleanse it. Cleanse yourself. Replace it quickly. The particles look for openings, and any lapse becomes a crack in the wall. Chosen one, understand this. Obedience is the true power here. The salt itself is a tool, but your faith is the fuel. Without faith, it's just minerals. With faith, it becomes a fortress. With obedience, it becomes impenetrable. With daily activation, it radiates light so fierce that no particle can withstand it. That activation comes through words. Each morning, place your hand over the locket and declare out loud, I am chosen, I am covered, I am protected. God's light surrounds me, His power shields me, His abundance flows into me. Even now, miracles are aligning. Even now, doors are opening. Even now, the $444 million blessing of divine provision is on its way. These declarations aren't empty affirmations. They are weapons. Your words shift the spiritual atmosphere. They strengthen the shield. They announce to both heaven and darkness where you stand. And when you stand firm, darkness flees. Now, you may ask, will I feel it working? The answer is yes. The first signs may be subtle nights of restless sleep turning into peaceful rest, sudden waves of anxiety lifting more quickly, your home feeling lighter and calmer. You may notice relationships smoothing out, finances stabilizing, clarity returning where confusion once reigned. These are not coincidences. These are confirmations. The shield is working. The locket is active. Your obedience is bearing fruit. And here's the beauty. Protection does not come alone. God always pairs it with provision. Once the shield is active, blessings begin to flow. Blocked opportunities unblock. Unexpected favor arrives. Bills are mysteriously covered. Doors open in ways you couldn't have planned. And for some, the flood of blessing is so immense that it looks like $444 million in provision. Whether literal or symbolic, that number represents scale blessings so massive they can't be ignored. Prosperity so expansive it transforms entire lineages. But remember, the locket is not optional. It's not an accessory to your faith. It's the embodiment of obedience. Without it, you leave yourself exposed. With it, you stand covered. That's the choice before you. The salt locket command is not difficult. It doesn't require wealth, power, or influence. It requires humility. It requires faith. It requires you to obey without delay. And when you do, you align with a divine covenant that shields you from chaos and ushers you into abundance. Chosen one, take this seriously. Don't brush it off. Don't delay. Prepare the salt, seal the locket, hang it, wear it, activate it daily with your words. Let it remind you that you are chosen, that you are protected, and that you are destined not only to withstand the storm, but to inherit the blessing waiting on the other side. Because, make no mistake, the particles are real. The storm is real. The danger is real. But so is your shield. So is your locket. So is your God. And when you obey, you will not just endure. You will thrive. You will stand as proof that obedience brings protection and protection births provision. And when abundance floods in, when the blessing of $444 million manifests in your life, you will know it was never luck. It was obedience. It was covenant. It was God. Chosen one, now that you understand the salt locket command, let's move deeper into the evidence of what happens when you obey. Protection isn't invisible forever. When you activate God's instructions, signs begin to show both subtle and dramatic, proving that the shield around you is alive, active, and impenetrable. You won't need to guess if it's working. You'll know. The atmosphere will shift. Your body will feel it. Your mind will notice. Your spirit will rejoice. The first signs often appear within your home. Imagine stepping inside after a long day and feeling a strange sense of calm, as though the walls themselves are radiating peace. That heaviness you once felt, gone. The arguments that used to erupt out of nowhere, quieted. The tension hanging in the air, lifted. This isn't coincidence. This is the salt at your doorway doing its work, neutralizing incoming forces before they ever step into your space. Your nights will change too. For many chosen ones, restless sleep, vivid nightmares, or unexplained waking at strange hours are the first signs of spiritual disturbance. But once the locket is hung and worn, you begin to sleep deeper. Dreams may shift from chaotic images to clear, peaceful visions. Instead of waking drained, you wake restored. You feel lighter, stronger, more grounded. That's your body responding to protection. Then come the emotional shifts, where sudden waves of sadness, anger, or fear once washed over you. They now pass by like clouds moving across the sky. You no longer feel trapped in the fog. Anxiety lifts faster. Joy returns more easily. You sense a steadiness you haven't felt in years. The particles that once tried to trigger your emotions can no longer penetrate your shield. And pay attention to your finances, because provision often shows up as the strongest evidence of divine protection. That bill you were dreading suddenly gets paid. That opportunity you thought you lost comes back around. Money flows in through channels you never expected. Sometimes it starts small, a refund check, an unexpected discount, a bonus at work. But soon, it grows. Favor stacks upon favor, and suddenly doors open to opportunities that can only be explained as divine. For some chosen ones, the signs are extraordinary. God doesn't just cover your basic needs, He floods you with abundance. And in this season, one of the clearest signs of divine protection is the promise of $444 million in blessing. Whether that number manifests literally in wealth or symbolically in massive generational provision, it's a signal. It means you are aligned with heaven's overflow. It means you've crossed from scarcity into sufficiency, from sufficiency into abundance, and from abundance into legacy. But it's not only about money. Look closely, and you'll see blessings in relationships. A broken connection may heal. A toxic relationship may fall away. People who drained your energy may suddenly leave, making space for those who uplift and strengthen you. This is not random. The shield doesn't just block harm. It repels people in situations that carry destructive energy, and it attracts those who resonate with light. Another sign is clarity. Where confusion once clouded your decisions, direction now becomes clear. You sense what steps to take, when to move, when to wait. The particles that once scrambled your focus are blocked, allowing you to hear God's voice more clearly. Ideas flow, inspiration sparks, creativity blooms. You may suddenly see solutions to problems that once felt impossible. That's evidence of protection turning into guidance. And don't overlook your physical body. Many chosen ones notice improvements in health once the locket is active. Aches ease. Energy returns. The strange fatigue that lingered begins to lift. Doctors may not be able to explain it, but you will know. The shield doesn't just protect the soul, it guards the body too. But perhaps the most powerful sign is peace. Not peace as the world gives, but peace that makes no sense in the face of circumstances. While storms rage outside, you sit calm inside. While others panic, you remain steady. While chaos erupts in the world, your home becomes a sanctuary. That unshakable peace is the truest evidence that the particles have no access. They can rage, but they cannot rule. Understand this. Protection is not passive. It's active. The salt locket is not superstition, it's obedience. And when you obey, the evidence follows. These signs are heaven's way of whispering, I'm here. I'm covering you. I'm guiding you. I'm blessing you. Now, let's be clear. Ignoring the signs or dismissing them as coincidence is dangerous. If you start to see blessings unfold, if peace floods your home, if provision flows, give thanks. Recognize it as evidence of protection. Gratitude strengthens the shield. Faith multiplies the blessing. Every time you acknowledge God's hand, the particles lose even more power. And remember, the shield is not only for you. The signs of protection in your life ripple outward. When your family sees peace where there was once conflict, they take notice. When your friends see provision flow where there was once struggle, they take notice. Your obedience becomes testimony. Your protection becomes their inspiration. And in that ripple effect, the network of light grows stronger. Chosen one, do not doubt what you see. When the heaviness lifts, when joy returns, when doors open, when peace floods, know without hesitation, the shield is working. The locket is alive with faith. Your obedience is bearing fruit. And God is not just protecting you, He is prospering you. And as you continue in obedience, expect more. Expect the floodgates to open. Expect miracles that defy logic. Expect blessings so vast they leave you speechless. Expect the fulfillment of the promised blessings that may look like $444 million in provision, not as fantasy, but as proof that God's word never fails. Because, chosen one, when protection is in place, blessing follows. When obedience is active, abundance flows. And when the signs appear, rejoice, they are the evidence that you are shielded, covered, and destined for overflow. Chosen one, by now you've seen how protection works, how signs manifest, and how obedience transforms your atmosphere. But there's something even greater on the horizon, something beyond protection, beyond peace, beyond daily blessings. It is the promise of provision so vast, so overwhelming, that it cannot be mistaken for coincidence or luck. It is the promise of $444 million in blessing. Let's pause and truly absorb what that means. 444 million. It's not just a number, it's a symbol, a frequency, a divine code woven into the fabric of your destiny. The number 444 represents stability, alignment, and divine order. It means heaven and earth are in sync, that your path is straight, that the chaos is blocked, and that abundance flows unhindered. And when multiplied by God's limitless provision, it doesn't just point to financial wealth. It points to a season of abundance so massive it reshapes your entire life and the lives of everyone connected to you. Some will see this number manifest as literal financial breakthrough, unexpected inheritances, miraculous opportunities, business ventures exploding in growth, wealth flowing in from directions you never could have predicted. For others, the $444 million promise will come in symbolic form: resources, influence, connections, health, and favor so immense that their value rivals that staggering figure. However it manifests, the promise is undeniable. When you obey, God not only protects you, He prospers you beyond imagination. Why $444 million? Because abundance on that scale forces you to think bigger than yourself. It's not about a new car, a bigger house, or even personal comfort. That level of blessing is generational. It's legacy building. It's designed to establish stability not only for you, but for your children, your children's children, and entire communities. When God pours out at this scale, it's because He knows you will steward it with wisdom, faith, and purpose. Think about the ripple effect. With $444 million in provision, debt chains break. Families rise out of cycles of lack. Communities are rebuilt. Churches expand their reach. Schools are funded. The hungry are fed. The homeless are housed. The sick are healed. God does not bless without purpose. And this promise is proof that your obedience isn't just about surviving the storm. It's about stepping into a destiny that changes the world around you. Chosen one, don't shrink from this. Don't tell yourself it's too much, too impossible, too unbelievable. Remember who you serve. You serve the God who parted seas, who rained manna from heaven, who fed thousands with a few loaves and fish, who raised the dead and calmed storms. To him, $444 million is nothing. To him, abundance is his very nature. If he promises it, it's not to tease you. It's to awaken you to what is possible when you align with his instruction. But here's the key. Provision follows protection. This promise doesn't come to those who ignore the warning, who dismiss the locket, who laugh at the shield. It comes to the obedient, to those who hang the emblem, to those who wear the salt, to those who declare daily, I am chosen, I am covered, I am protected, and abundance flows to me. Obedience unlocks overflow. Without obedience, the door remains closed. Look at the pattern in Scripture. Abraham obeyed, and his descendants became countless. Joseph obeyed, and he rose from prison to palace. The widow obeyed the prophet's instruction, and her oil never ran dry. Time and time again, ordinary people received extraordinary blessings because they chose obedience over doubt. The same principle applies now. When you hang the shield and wear the locket, you aren't just protecting yourself. You are stepping into alignment. You are activating the flow of blessing. And let's be clear, this isn't prosperity for prosperity's sake. This is purpose-driven abundance. God doesn't pour out at this level so you can hoard it. He pours it out so you can distribute it, expand his kingdom, and shine light into darkness. He blesses you so you can become a blessing. That's why the promise is so large, because the assignment is so great. Chosen one, ask yourself, what would you do if $444 million entered your life tomorrow? Would you hide it, fear it, waste it, or would you build, bless, and multiply? God is testing your heart even now. He wants to know that when the provision comes, you'll be ready to carry it, that you'll be ready to use it not just for yourself, but for the greater good. And while this number may feel staggering, let it stretch your faith. Let it break the limits you've placed on God. Let it remind you that his ways are higher, his thoughts are greater, and his blessings are beyond measure. The storm may test you, but the promise will reward you. The particles may press against you, but the provision will flood over you. The shadow may try to dim your light, but the blessing will ignite it brighter than ever before. So, stand in faith. Declare it boldly. Speak it daily. I am chosen. I am covered. I am protected. God's abundance flows into my life. The $444 million blessing is not a dream. It is a reality. It is mine. It is for my family. It is for my legacy. And it is for God's glory. Say it until you believe it. Believe it until you see it. See it until you live it. And when it arrives, remember, it was never luck, never accident, never random. It was covenant. It was obedience. It was God's promise fulfilled. Chosen one, the storm may rage, but the promise is stronger. The particles may approach, but the provision is greater. Hold fast to your shield, wear your locket, and prepare your heart. Because when God says he will bless, he doesn't whisper. He declares it. And today he declares over you abundance, prosperity, and provision so overwhelming that $444 million will look small compared to the fullness of what he is about to pour into your life. Chosen one, everything you have heard until now has been leading to this very moment. The alarms have sounded. The storm has been revealed. The particles have been explained. The shield has been commanded. The locket has been prepared. The signs of protection have been laid out. The promise of $444 million in blessing has been spoken over your life. Now, the question is simple but life-altering. What will you do with this message? This is the final call to action, the moment where knowledge must turn into obedience, where awareness must turn into action. You cannot remain neutral. Neutrality is still a choice, and in the face of this storm, choosing nothing is the same as choosing vulnerability. The particles won't wait for your convenience. The storm won't pause until you're ready. The forces pressing against your life won't say, "We'll come back later." They are moving now, and that means your response must be immediate. Let's return to the doorway of your home for a moment. Imagine it clearly. The walls, the frame, the entry point where you cross in and out every day. That doorway is the line between chaos and sanctuary. Without the emblem, without the salt locket, that doorway is open. Every invisible force, every particle of darkness, every fragment of spiritual pollution can slip through without resistance. But once you hang the shield, once you mark your threshold in obedience, the entire atmosphere shifts. The storm may roar outside, but your home becomes untouchable inside. Now imagine your chest, your heart, the place where your soul feels both joy and pain. That is where the second locket belongs. Worn daily, carried faithfully, it becomes your personal shield. Every step you take, every decision you make, every battle you fight, the locket rests against you like armor. Without it, you're exposed. With it, you're covered. That's why God said, wear it always. Not sometimes, not when it's convenient. Always. And don't underestimate the power of your words. Protection is not passive. It is fueled by faith, activated by declaration. Each morning, when you place your hand over the locket and declare, I am chosen, I am covered, I am protected, and God's abundance flows to me, you aren't just speaking into the air, you're strengthening your shield. You're announcing to heaven that you stand in covenant. You're announcing to darkness that it cannot pass. You're declaring to yourself that you are destined for peace, prosperity, and provision. But obedience is more than ritual. It's posture. It's choosing daily to walk in alignment, to trust even when you don't fully understand, to act even when it feels uncomfortable. It's believing that the salt locket is not superstition but covenant, that the shield on your door is not symbolic but spiritual reality. It's trusting that the God who warns also provides, that the God who commands also blesses, that the God who asks for obedience also pours out reward. And what reward it is. The storm may be fierce, but beyond it lies abundance so vast that it will silence every doubt, quiet every fear, and shatter every limitation. For some, that reward will manifest in financial provision so extraordinary it takes the form of $444 million. For others, it will be resources, influence, health, and generational stability with equal magnitude. But whatever form it takes, the promise is clear. God does not ask you to obey without also preparing to overwhelm you with blessing. So, this is your choice. Stand unprotected and face chaos, or obey and inherit peace. Ignore the call and open yourself to erosion, or act in faith and watch abundance flood in. Delay and risk regret, or move now and secure your destiny. You've come too far to turn back. You've heard too much to pretend you don't know. You've felt the stirring in your spirit, the pull in your chest, the sense that this message is not random but written directly for you. That pull is proof that you are chosen, proof that this is your moment, proof that the storm is near, but so is your shield. So act. Prepare the salt, seal the locket, hang the emblem at your door, wear the second locket against your chest. Speak the declarations daily. Walk in obedience. Strengthen your faith, and above all, believe. Believe that you are chosen. Believe that you are protected. Believe that you are destined for abundance so staggering that $444 million won't sound like fantasy, but fulfillment. And as you act, don't forget this. You are not alone. Countless chosen ones across the world are hearing this same call, obeying this same instruction, activating this same shield. Each time one of them types 99 in the comments, it amplifies the energy, multiplies the light, and strengthens the network of protection across the globe. Together, the chosen are rising, forming an army of light that darkness cannot withstand. Chosen one, the time is now. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. The storm is approaching. The particles are moving. The warning has been given. The shield has been revealed. The promise has been spoken. All that remains is your obedience. Stand tall, stand firm, stand chosen. Protect your home. Guard your heart. Speak your declarations. Claim your abundance. And watch as heaven's hand moves in your life with power so undeniable that your story will become testimony. Your testimony will become legacy. and your legacy will become light for generations to come. This is your final call. The storm is real, but your shield is stronger. The particles are near, but your protection is nearer. Chaos may knock, but peace will answer. And when the dust settles, when the air clears, when the blessings flood in, you will know without question, you obeyed, you believed, and you inherited the promise. Chosen one, claim it now. Your shield, your peace, your provision, your legacy. This is your time, this is your call, this is your destiny. Chosen one, you've heard the warning. You felt the urgency, and you know this message was meant for you. The storm is real, the particles are closing in, but so is God's protection. And so is His promise of $444 million in unstoppable blessing. The choice is yours. Stay exposed or rise shielded, chosen, and destined. Don't wait another second. Hit like to declare your obedience. Subscribe to stand with the chosen army. And drop 99 in the comments to seal your covenant. This is your moment. Claim your shield. Claim your abundance. Claim your destiny now.